that means you're feeling the vibe. The bell rung, you already been subscribed. Right now, the queen, she on live. Please pull over the whip, no phoning when you drive. Dope Soul sporting with the talk. First lady from New York, New York. All my people, you rocking with the chat. Hit that like button would tell me where you at. You know, step from the MBK, born and raised up MBK. Hey, real lady, where she holding it down. No matter way how you feel, she gon' greet you with a smile.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Oh, sister, it's time you
That's
shine. Dope Soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Dope Soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Dope Soul.
What?
Dope Soul.
What?
Your soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Salute, Knick family. Welcome to the channel, Dope Soul Sports Talk, Dope Soul Knicks Talk, a member of the MBK family. Welcome to the Just Knickin' It weekly show. We have a lot to talk about today. The Knicks went 2-1 since we last had the show. They beat lost to Milwaukee, beat the Clippers, beat the San Antonio Spurs. So we'll talk about that with the panel. And then I have one question for every player on the team. So we'll talk about that. There's been talk that Julius Randle is not 100%. He's about 70%, and he resisted sitting or resting. Selfish, or do you love that, from one of your top players on the team? Are you buying, selling, or as Geoff added, holding that RJ Barrett play up to this point will continue? Does Brunson shoot the ball too much? Is he selfish? We got a lot. We're going to get into a lot today. Let me bring in the panel tonight, I should say. Jerrell, Geoff, how you doing? Shout out to the chat, by the way.
Salute, Queen. Thanks for having me. Salute to the chat. You guys are the best. Going to be a great show. Salute, Jerrell.
Yep. Salute, Geoff. Salute, Steph. Salute to the chat. You already know how we do it every Thursday at 9 o'clock. We here.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And Ajay should be joining us later on. And I sent the link out to a few others. So we'll see who will join us. But let's just talk about, before we get into the questions about the individual players, let's talk about the last week of games. Knicks 2-1. Like I just mentioned, we lost to Milwaukee. That was the first game of the in-season tournament. We beat the Clippers, which when we did Queens Court, I thought that would be a loss, but the Knicks won that game. And then we beat San Antonio. So just your thoughts on the game, on this week, actually. Anything that stood out for you player-wise, team-wise, coach-wise?
Well, funny how a week, can change a whole fan base perspective sometimes. I remember how the chat was last week. It was pretty much the end of the world, and we was gonna suck all year. So even though we did get two wins in a row, I'm still not gonna overreact. Like I always say, like 20 games. That's why I kind of reassess things, and nothing. I wasn't surprised on anything. I'm glad RJ came back, and he's looking good. He's looking healthy. The knee didn't seem like it, hampered him, that much during the past few games. And Julius Randle, actually played a little better. Obviously, that better than that he played in the beginning of the season. But other than that, everything pretty much looks the same. I love the way our bench is playing. So far, Dante DiVincenzo seemed like he's getting a little more comfortable with us, even if it's not scoring. It's the little stuff that he does. Like our bench hustles. Like that's one thing I really like about our bench. When Quickley, Chenzo, and Josh Hart and Hart is on the court at the same time, like we play faster. You could tell our team hustles a little bit more. And I don't know, it seemed like the teams that we've been playing can't match that off the bench. So I think the bench is going to be huge for us this season. And that's pretty much it for now until we get into the individual stuff for me.
Well, I think from a psychological standpoint, that Clippers win was huge. You know, you lose that Clippers game and you're 2-5, and maybe it feels a little bit rocky. Even I think we would have been okay even if we had lost the game, but to come out of that game with such a solid win and to play the way that they did, especially in the fourth quarter, which has been a struggle for this team. I think that was a huge confidence boost, and then to follow that up with a win against San Antonio in a game where the everybody said that Wembanyama was going to kill us, and ESPN was there for it. They were waiting for the shoe to drop, and then we just wagged the Dikembe Mutombo finger at him and like, no. This is our house. I love that we took a super talented player like that and we just shut him down. It's been a long time since we've done that. I feel like this has been the place where stars come to just kind of show off and burn the Knicks. And this was one of the first times in a while that I can remember that it was just like, no, this is not happening. And you're not, this is our house. You're not gonna do that here. And just the will the strength and the will to do that is impressive. Lady and the Chef.
Hey, Geoff.
How are you?
Hey, Ajay, Jerrell, Queen, the chat. Great.
That's all I got. I don't know if Ajay or Lady you want to go next.
We'll go to Ajay, then Lady in the Show. We were just talking about what stood out since the last time we did the show. That was the Milwaukee game, the Clipper game, the San Antonio game. What stood out for you, if anything, player-wise, team-wise, offensively, defensively, that you want to talk about?
First of all, salute to you, so to the panel, the chat, and Knicks Nation. Let's go hit the like button on the way in. All right, and Queen, I know you probably didn't hit it, so like yourself right now.
Yeah, I did. You're right, though. I'd be lagging. I do.
What stood out for me in terms of player, obviously Julius Randle coming around, getting into, we got two pretty good games from Julius Randle. RJ Barrett continuing his consistency and his effectiveness. So it's so far it's not looking, it's looking like, it's gonna be like this, you know what I'm saying? So every game he's played, he's been like, I mean, I want to say our best player. Did he play? He didn't play the Brunson 40+ game, right? No. Okay. Nope. So far, I mean, RJ, he's been on top of his game. He's been consistent, reliable. He's been reading the game. He's been, he's been active on the boards. His defense has improved a whole lot. So that's really good. Of course, Mitchell Robinson is another one, like consistency. He's been consistent throughout, like literally aside, first game he was in foul trouble. After that, like he's had good game after good game. Like he's been a monster on the boards. I mean, and Emmanuel Quickley, he's had good game, bad game, but he's also very efficient. So we're seeing a lot of guys taking, scoring the same amount of points, but with less shot and, sharing the ball a little more because of course they're reading the game better. Like Tibbs like to say, they're taking what the defense is giving them. Mm-hmm. And, and team wise, the defense has been excellent. I mean, the defense has been, I think we're up there. I don't want to say number one. I don't know if we are number one, but we're definitely one of the top best 3 defensive teams in the league at this point so far this season. So a lot of good things stand out.
I believe we're 2. Yes. Yeah. 2 behind Minnesota.
Yeah. Okay.
And they've been just shutting people down.
Yeah. Yeah. Lady in the Chef.
Yeah, for me, salute to the panel, of course, and the chat. I'm happy to be here and join you all. This is one of my favorites. I don't want to get shunned by the other MBK family, but this is my top show that I watch. This is like my little my binge, my Hulu special, my Netflix special that I just gotta watch.
Appreciate you. Welcome to join
Awesome.
anytime.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. No, I think for me, what stood out for sure is the ball movement was there throughout these past two games. One day and then again yesterday against the Spurs. I thought the Knicks did a great job spacing out the floor. So, I said this from the rip at the start of this season. When the Knicks move the ball, they're a lot more successful. And the Knicks did a great job these past two games moving the ball, not settling for the three. And, one of the great things I noticed in yesterday's game in particular that they did, we had a lot of fast break points. And instead of the Knicks kicking the ball out to guys that were standing out in the perimeter, we were feeding our big guys and going for the easy basket and not making the game harder, but playing smarter. So I thought the decision making was better. Also, the pass were crisp and just the pace of the game was a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt about it. I think what stood out for me is our defense. I think our defense is for real. Like I said in the morning show, San Antonio did miss a lot of shots early, and that helped us. But overall, I think we are really, good defensive team, and a lot of that is RJ Barrett getting better on the defensive end, and Mitchell Robinson. I mean, he's always been good for us defensively, but I think he's become a bit more cerebral. I think he's in shape more. I think he's using his hands more on defense in terms of getting deflections and getting steals. He's not getting into foul trouble. And he's just playing on another level. And that's something I wanted from him. And I know he's always played well defensively. That's not what I'm saying. But I just feel like, because, we're not to balance out what we're not getting offensively, and I'm not taking anything away from the offensive rebounds. I just wanted him to step it up a little bit on the defensive end. And he's been incredible for us. His defensive rebounding is better. As someone mentioned in the chat, he has more offensive rebounds than all but one team, I believe. If somebody can check me on that. So I like the way he's playing. I think another thing that stood out is Randle rebounding, as far as he's still not shooting well, but that game against Milwaukee where he didn't get back and he just kind of seemed, really disengaged, and, my PTSD flaring up that this is going to be the Randle for the rest of the season, and just see him get back in it. I think one of the things I do want to add about Randle is who we think he is on the floor. And I know a lot of times fans will say, well, when he doesn't get back, that's demoralizing to the team, and you could lose the team. I just don't think that's the case with Randle. I think how we see him and view him on the court and how his teammates view him is very, very different. And I think they like him, and I don't think it's just, because when they talk to the media, you could tell when it's like coach speak, you could tell when you're just trying to say the right things and the proper things. But whenever they talk about, Randle, Brunson talked about him struggling. IQ talked about his struggles. And it seemed genuine. Obi Toppin, when he was here, talked about Randle. Randle hit a few shots. RJ Barrett, massaging his shoulders. And, I just think that they really like him. And I just think, I don't think he always does the right things on the court. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think it impacts their relationship with him. And that tells me that behind closed doors, he has a lot of, is it equity? Is that the right word?
Yeah.
So that when he does those things, it doesn't seem to change how they feel about him. And it's the same thing with Tibbs. You see Tibbs cursing and going berserk on the sideline, but he must be putting in that work in terms of relationship building behind closed doors, because it doesn't seem like he's lost, in any of them. So we'll see. He still has to get better. I see what, and I'm not saying I haven't seen, but I do see what people are talking about in terms of Randle, like loafing sometimes and not hitting his spots in terms of rotations and things like that. I definitely see that. And listen, when you have the usage he has, I don't think anybody's expecting him to be a demon on every single possession, but you do have to get to your spots. And I think there are certain times in a game where you have to dig in on the defensive end. So I think that, that stood out for me. The bench, DiVincenzo, Grimes bringing the ball up a few times, bringing the ball up the court a few times, leading the fast break. That's stood out. And of course, the Knicks' mental toughness, just going 2-4 and not really getting down on themselves. And I know I picked them to lose that Clipper game, and how they came out and got the job done. Anything else about last week?
No, I'm good.
All right. So now what I did was, for every player, I kind of gathered a question that's been going on in the Twitter universe or in the chat, and so that we can talk about it here. And let's start with Brunson. Hit that like button. We got 72 in the chat already and 36 likes. So hit the like button on your way in the building. Let's start with Brunson. I've been hearing this a lot. Do you think Brunson shoots too much? And do you think he is a selfish player? And that's for the chat as well. Let me know how you feel in the chat. If it gets too hot, I might open up the phone lines. But we'll start with Lady in the Chef, Geoff, Ajay, Jerrell. Brunson, on the season, 22.5 points, 3.6 rebounds, 4.8 assists, shooting 40.4% from the field, which is off. I think he would shoot like 48, I want to say. His 3-point percentage is back up 42.9, which is great. That's almost sniper territory. I'm not sure how many he's taken a game. And his free throw percentage is up to 82.5%, which is more than he had last season. So still not shooting the ball overall well. But do you think he shoots too much, and do you think he's a selfish player?
No. For me, I definitely don't think that he shoots too much, nor do I think he's selfish. And I say that because I feel like with Brunson, he's a point guard who he knows how to lead and he knows how to orchestrate the offense. And that's what a true point guard does. I think that for him, we need a point guard who can be a leader, but on the court, on the offensive end, but who can also score the basket. I mean, I wouldn't want a guy who's just going to be a passer and set guys up and just get a good amount of assists. I personally like that he does shoot and he's crafty with his footwork and knows how to create his own shot, because there's games where if you have RJ who may be off or Randle's off, who's your other option? So a lot of games we do need Brunson to shoot the ball, and those baskets are timely hoops that he makes. So I don't think that he's selfish. I think that sometimes when I see other Knicks fans say that, oh, they feel he's hogging the ball or it's too much one-on-one, a lot of times for me, I find that he does that because when other guys are off, what other option does he have? If Quickley's not making the baskets, RJ is off, Randle's off, who else do you pass it to? Because Grimes is not going to give you what you're looking for in points. DiVincenzo, there's still a question mark there. And Josh Hart is not going to give it to you either. I've come to the terms with Josh Hart. He's not going to give us the points that we're looking for. He's the scrappy guy, the energizer bunny that you're looking for to do the other intangibles. So I think Brunson, he has to come in a game and do what he needs to do on some nights when it's not his night. I love it when you have the other guys that are fulfilling and doing what they need to do. But I think sometimes he just has to do what he needs to do to keep us in that game and get us that W.
Yeah, I agree, Geoff.
I don't think he's a selfish player, and I definitely don't think he shoots too much. I think he's the best shooter on the team. You know, he's got to get his floater game back a little bit. I think he's, you know, the inside the arc as percentage has to come back up, but I have confidence that it will. The only real thing I would say is, and maybe this is just a selfish thing for me, but I would like to see him get Mitch a little bit more involved in the lob game. You know, he doesn't really throw a lot of lobs, you know, and that would be something that you know, that I if he could add that to his arsenal, and he's such a smart player, he's always working on his game. So I think that's something that he could add to his arsenal, and I think that would help us, you know, just get us one or two more easy buckets a game, you know, just lob it up to Mitch. And I think if you get Robinson a couple of those lob dunks, that's going to just make the rest of his game that much better, you know. And it creates another threat that the defense has to account for. So from that perspective, I really like it. You know, I think the point guard position in the NBA has changed a lot. I think that it's much more of a scorer's position now than it ever was. Not that it hasn't been in the past, but I don't think of it as much as the, you know, John Stockton just feed the ball to, you know, Karl Malone, you know, 8 million times a game and get your 14 assists, or, you know, I don't think that the game is like that anymore. It's so much more of a guard oriented game, and there's so much of an advantage for the guards that they really are tasked and called upon to score the ball. And, you know, from a historical perspective, he's the best shooting percentage wise guy that we have. So to me, I want the highest percentage guy to take the most shots. That's how I feel about it. Like give the guy who's the most efficient the most looks at the basket. I have no problem with his shot selection, with his shot diet. As far as I'm concerned, he's, you know, I have no problem with that. I think if you're looking for him to be a 10 assist guy, you're going to be disappointed. I don't think that's his game. I don't necessarily think he's a bad passer. I don't think he's selfish, but you know, for a couple of reasons. First of all, we don't make enough shots really to have that high an assist guy. You know, that's part of the situation too, is when you pass the ball out, people have to make shots for you to get assists, you know. Well, the other thing that I'll say is I think early in this season, he's been uncharacteristically high on his turnovers. I think he's had 3-4 turnover games, and I think he had that many 4 turnover games all of last season. It felt like I'm sure that's an exaggeration on my part, but I would like to see him take a little bit better care of the ball. But I don't think he's a selfish player, and I don't think he shoots too much. You know, I think that he's going to progress to the mean, I guess is the right word, as far as what his shooting is concerned. And as you said, from outside the arc, he's been fantastic.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Before we get to AJ, I agree with you in terms of getting Mitch involved. Not just him, but all of the players who drive. You know, I know RJ Barrett has done it in the past. He probably does it the most. But I would like to see him, RJ, Randle, whoever's driving, to get Mitch more involved with the lob, because I agree with you. It is it makes him more of a threat, and it helps us overall. And I think the other thing with Brunson is him and Randle, they can get their shot at any time that they want to. You know, maybe pick their spots in which they, you know, trying to get others involved early, maybe. See if you can get them off their snide, you know, so to speak, because you know you can take over the game anytime you want. And that's basically Grimes and Mitch, because those are the two players that need offense created for them. Randle can get his own. RJ, can get his own. So maybe, pick his spots, a little more. But I disagree with the fans who think that he can't pass, because if you watched him in FIBA, some of the passes that he made, I was surprised at. And that made me think that maybe we just don't have those type of players. Like the better players you get, the more, he was playing with better players. And some of the passes, like the pick and roll with, Jackson from Memphis, things like that, and the slip passes, the pocket passes he was making, the passes on the break. I was I was a little surprised. And I also think as our talent gets better and we get better players on the team, I do think his shooting is going to take a step back. I really believe that. And I think he'll be more of a playmaker, run the team type of point guard with, though, the option to turn it up, if we need to. So I'm definitely looking forward to that as we upgrade the talent on this team. Ajay?
Right.
And then when we finish, I've highlighted some of the chat comments, so I'll put that up. Yes, Ajay.
Okay. So I agree with you, Lady and Chef and Geoff. I don't know what we're watching, and I don't know why somebody think Jalen Brunson passed it. The coach he plays for, okay, that's actually his philosophy. Like what the defense, you read the game, right? If the game calls for you to pass, you pass. If the game calls for you to shoot and score 45 points, and you do that. If that's what it takes to get a win, that's what it takes to get a win. You're not going to pass the ball just to get guys involved if guys are not hitting their shots. The point of this game is to put the ball in the hole and win the game, right? If you hitting the shots, take every shot. Every time the ball comes to you. I mean, listen, if you're shooting at a high percentage, why not? That's the point of it. You're not going to pass on a good and the same people who are complaining are probably complaining that Quentin Grimes passed too much, because when he's under the basket, he's right there. He's throwing it down to a Mitchell Robinson. So no, if you hitting, keep shooting. Okay, I have no problem with that. And I don't think he's a selfish player at all. Like I said, if he needs to pass the ball, if there's an opening, sometimes the pass is not there. You know what I'm saying? So you don't do it. And that causes turnovers. You lose games that way. So you read the game. Okay, you do what the defense gives you. You take it. All right. If they're playing you one-on-one and you have a shot, he's got great footwork, Jalen Brunson. So he can almost get out of any trap, any one defender, or even double team trap sometimes he get out of. If he could do that and get a shot, he'd hit it. Keep doing that, man. I have no problem with that. And no, he's not a selfish player at all. He's playing within the system that the coach wants him to play. That's what Thibodeau wants. You read the game. If the game tells you to pass, you pass. The game tells you to shoot, you shoot. So.
Yeah. Jerrell?
I'll be quick because I'm pretty much regurgitated what everybody else said already, because I'm pretty sure all five of us, the answer is no and no on both counts, right? Like, I don't think any of us think that he shoot too much or if he's selfish or not. Yeah, I think a lot of fans, I think it has to do with optics. I think maybe because he's missing more, it may make it seem like he's more of a selfish player. Because that's pretty much the only difference between this year and last year. Like, if you think Jalen Brunson wasn't selfish last year, I don't see why he would be selfish this year. I guess it depends on the fan that you're talking to and how they view Jalen Brunson in general, because he's playing the exact same way that he did last year. He's just not making as many shots as he did. The shot attempts are, I think he's shooting a little bit more, but the way that this season has gone so far, we're not shooting well, especially the first couple weeks of the season. So if you didn't want Brunson taking those shots, who did you want taking those shots? I think it seems like this fan base, I don't know, have a problem with Brunson and IQ shooting too much. But to be honest, they are our best shooters. So if they're not taking a shot, who do you want taking more shots? Steph already said that Grimes and Mitch can't create their own shot. So I guess you can run plays for them a little bit more, but I don't see Tibbs doing that at all. When it comes to the bench, when IQ is out there, you know, I don't see Josh Hart or Dante DiVincenzo having like big scoring nights. So they have to play that way. I think our team is designed for them to play that way, and I don't think it's going to change. I think the only thing will change is the optics, like I mentioned before. Like once he starts making more shots, then people won't be worried about Jalen Brunson passing the ball at all, I don't think.
Yeah, and to add to what you're saying, I think for a lot of us, we have a perception of how the point guard position should be played.
Right.
And instead of, and for those who are Patreons, this will be coming out soon. I was running the stats of assist percentage, pass percentage on drives for shoot first point guards versus pass first point guards for last year and early this year. And Brunson's assists, pass percentage on drives, assist percentage is on par with other score first point guards. And that was Curry, Dame was in there, DeJounte Murray was in there, Trae Young was in there, and there was someone else. So I think a lot of times to really know how a guard is doing or any one of our players, compare them to others at their position. And I think that'll let you know how they're doing. Same thing with Randle and his pass percentage. He's like top of the league amongst power forwards. You know, so we're comparing them to our perception. And as I think it was Geoff pointed out, how many pass first point guards do we have? Like when I was doing the numbers, it was Halliburton, Chris Paul, LaMelo Ball. You know, and those three players definitely had more assists, higher assist percentage, but they're pass first point guards. And LaMelo Ball, who we consider a pass first point guard, is really struggling right now. So his assist percentage and a lot of his percentages are off right now. But you have to compare them to others at his position. And I wonder, I have no idea, when Dame played for Portland, was that the same complaint that he doesn't, that he doesn't pass enough, that he's a ball hog or whatever. So I'm not saying Jalen Brunson is perfect. I think he can definitely, get better, but his assist and pass percentage was higher. I think it was only one guy, I forgot who it was, one player who was above him, last year on a team that did not shoot well last season. So he's on par with other score for first point guards is I guess the point that I'm trying to make. But I agree for Grimes and Mitch, who can't create their own shots, those who can could probably do a better job creating shots for them. Grimes, though, I just think he's just not aggressive. Sometimes when he does get the ball, he's passing it up, or I don't really know what he's doing. But I think there's more opportunities for Grimes that he gives up, actually. But anybody else want to say anything about this before, or anything I said before I check in with the chat?
I kind of agree. I just don't think Grimes is ever going to be a high volume guy. I think he's a good shooter. I just don't think he's ever going to be and I could be completely wrong about that, but I just don't view him. I don't think he has the mentality to soak up a lot of usage. I just don't think that's his personality. I don't think that's who he is. So I kind of agree with you about Grimes.
I agree also.
Same.
Yeah. All right, let me check in with the chat. Sherman Van Vliet is averaging over 8 assists a game. Trae Young is averaging over 10 assists a game. Okay. How many assists is Curry averaging? How many assists is Dame Lillard averaging? You know, he's not Trae Young. You know what I mean? He's not, you know, Van Vliet, you know, and guys have to hit shots. So I get it, Sherman. You have a particular way that you want your point guard to play. He's not that. You know, he's not that. He is a score first point guard. And when the Knicks start shooting, you know, it'd be interesting to see where's Houston's offense ranked in terms of field goal percentage, and where is Atlanta's field goal percentage. All right, let's see what else. And anybody else who wants to comment on these, you can comment.
Okay.
As well. All right. The X Productions, I think Brunson is doing exactly what he needs to do for the team. And I would say particularly for this team, I think once the makeup changes, you know, his game may actually change. We shall see. I thought I had more. It's just hard to turn a scoring guard into a real point guard. I'm not sure what you mean by real point guard, but I hear you.
I say you could be both at the same time, to be honest.
Yeah. Nick Yak, how many more assists would Brunson have if we had our open shots?
Exactly.
Old head, as a point guard, Brunson is score first. I have not seen him make his teammates better. The offense looks better sharing the ball with less isolation.
I disagree with that. We have two very good ISO players. Our offense looks very good when Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson are ISOing. So no, I don't agree with that. I mean, you know, we could share the ball all we want. If the last guy at the end of the sharing sequence is not hitting the shot, what's the point of doing that? The first guy should take the shot if he has it. So the first guy's going to pass on the shot just so he can share the ball? No, we're not doing that.
I think this goes back to what Jerrell was talking about with optics, though. I think that the brand of basketball that the second unit plays is prettier than the brand of ball that the first unit plays. But if you take the San Antonio game, for example, how many of the bench unit were in the positive in terms of plus minus in the San Antonio game? I don't think there were any. All 5 of the starters were like plus 27 or better. On the year, the starting unit is like plus 17 or something like that. And RJ Barrett is plus 14 with that starting unit. So, you know, I don't, you know, I think it's an optics thing. I think we like how it looks when the ball moves and when, you know, when everything's clicking and when you have like the Golden State Warriors or the Spurs in their, you know, in their heyday, when it's just pop, 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 pass, score, that's a lot prettier than what the Knicks do. But when we're at our most effective, it's when we're getting the ball to our ISO scorers, because guess what? That's our best opportunity to score, because even when they miss, we've got elite offensive rebounder in Mitchell Robinson, gives us extra possessions, and we're playing the possession game. We're not, you know, you can be that pretty team when you make shots, but you know, all the ball movement in the world doesn't do you any good if you're going to miss the shot at the end of the day anyway. You got to get the ball in the hands of the people who are your best shot maker.
Yeah, and if you're the point guard, you already the best shot maker. The ball's in your hand. Guess what? Take the shot.
I will say this. I think our definition of ISO players, I don't think when we say ISO player, we're all meaning the same thing. Because to me, when I hear ISO player, I hear a person coming up the court, hijacking the offense, not passing the ball, and just going one-on-one. And I think last year Brunson would do that at times when he was hot. And I think that's the time to do it. I think when you are hot, you should do that. But if you look at the Knicks offense, I don't think it's ISO when you're passing the ball around and there's ball movement and player movement, and then it winds up in Randle's hands or Brunson hands or who else? RJ hands. And now they start putting the ball on the floor to set their man up. To me, that's not ISO ball because those guys are not really off the shot guys, off the catch guys. So you're passing the ball around, When it gets to Randle, it is going to stop because he got to dribble. That's just his game. He has to dribble to set up his shot. Same thing with Brunson. You could pass it around, pass it. He gets it back. He going to put the ball on the floor to set his guy up because that's how he plays. Now, RJ Barrett, he'll do that sometimes. Sometimes if it's a clean look, he'll just shoot it right off the pass, right? Right off the catch. But I don't think it's ISO when you move the ball a few times and then it stops with a guy who's about to take the shot. That happens with Paul George. That happens with Kawhi. That happens with KD. That happens with any of these guys who put the ball on the floor. You could dribble past it, and when it gets to those guys, whether it's after 3 shots, 5 shots, 3 passes, 5 passes, 7 passes, it's going to stop. So I think if you're looking for Randle, pass, it gets to Randle, he just takes the shot, it ain't happening. Pass, it gets to Brunson, he takes the shot. Sometimes he does that because he's like he did it in Atlanta, off the catch. So to me, that's not ISO ball. ISO ball is you just come down the court, it's hardly any pass, or the person just passes it to you. Everybody is standing around while you doing your thing. That's ISO ball to me. Not passing it around, then it gets to you and stop. That's how I see it, but I'm interested in the panel in the chat. What's ISO ball to you? Let's start with you, Lady in the Chef. What's ISO ball to you?
Well, for me, it's definitely the way you just described it. When you have that one guy, there's no passes, and then they go and try to shoot and create their own. But sometimes I think, going back to Old Head's comment, I think the problem with us is that with the Knicks, we don't have a good balance of guys who could shoot, like a true team where everyone could shoot the ball. People are saying Brunson should be passing the ball, but he doesn't have the supporting cast like he did when he played in FIBA, who he can comfortably make those passes too. So I think sometimes where we get in trouble is, I think like when Randle gets the ball, kind of reminds me of when Melo was on the Knicks and they would have to take the ball and it takes some time before they score. And now the shot clock is running down. There's not much time. We hope we get a shot off before we get a shot clock possession. So I just think that, yes, it's not necessarily ISO ball, but we have times where we do that with whether it's with Jalen Brunson or Julius Randle, where they will have the ball. And sometimes we don't have enough passes around when we have the ball on the offensive end. And to me, I think that's where the Knicks get in trouble when you come down and you only make maybe 1 or 2 passes.
Right.
And, and that could be between sometimes just Randle and Brunson. And then they're taking their time before they, and it's more so Randle takes a bit longer to get to the shot that he wants. And sometimes he makes it. And sometimes, Randle will look to go make that pass, but sometimes it's too late,
Right.
when we go to. So I think sometimes the ISO plays between a player, it can hurt us on the offensive side. And then other times, I think it's just that we lack the supporting cast of guys who can knock down the shot on a consistent basis.
Yeah. Anybody else want to weigh in on that?
I guess I'm just not really concerned with the whole ISO thing. Like when you get deep into the playoffs and late game situations, that's mostly what it is. It's Jason Tatum going and creating a shot for himself and taking it. He's, and if he gets double teamed, then he's gonna, he might make a pass. But a lot of the times, look at Damian Lillard in that Milwaukee game. He took over then in the last minute of the game. He scored 7 points or something like that in the final minute to win the game. I mean, that's what the best players do. You give them the ball down the stretch and you let them go to work and you let them do their thing. I don't, I think it's an optics thing more than it is anything. And I'm someone who appreciates good passing, and I'll agree that it's fun to watch, but it can also be fun to watch a really good isolation scorer. I mean, especially the elite ones are incredible. I mean, Carmelo Anthony, when he was on, was outstanding to watch. When those guys, when Damian Lillard is on a bender, I mean, that's as good as basketball to watch as any, share the ball offense, in my opinion. When these guys are doing what they can do at the highest level, I mean, it's incredible. So I guess I just, I'll go back to what Ajay said. The name of the game is to put the ball in the basket. How you do that, any way you can is my answer to that problem.
I hear you. Any concern though about freezing other players out when you do that? Any concerns about the defense being able to load up? When you do that.
The Miami Heat loaded up on Jalen Brunson and he scored anyway.
Yeah, but I think Brunson and Randle, that's the thing though. To me, you're saying all the right keywords. I really love the way you commentate, Geoff, but the key words there is the elite guys. We don't have the elite guys who can do that. You're saying Tatum, Dame Lillard, these guys are on a different level than who we have on the Knicks. The only guy, in my opinion, on the Knicks team who can truly create his own, and he has the skill set, the footwork to get to the basket and create his own, is Jalen Brunson. And he proved that in the playoffs last season, all throughout last season. Sometimes the issue with Randle, and again, I'm not picking on him. I don't want the chat thinking I'm Uncle Fulio and I'm picking on Randle. The problem with Randle is he'll get the ball, and I think I was saying this on Monday Night Show on Dope Soul. He gets the ball, he starts to get to the dribbling, he dribbles too low, and now the Randle handle comes into effect and he loses the ball. We cause a turnover. Or Randle has a bad habit of when he's trying to make that pass out, he has a good intention, but it's like Clyde to say, that's why you don't stop your dribble. He wants to throw the ball while he's in the air, and it's not a good pass. Sometimes the other team will come in and weed in for that steal. But to go back to your point of what you were just saying, Geoff, we don't have those elite guys on our team who could create their own. And the Knicks were exposed against Miami last season in the playoffs. A lot of guys could not take their man one-on-one and get to that basket and score, however means in whatever capacity that required of them to do it, because there was a lack of ball handling skills to get to the hole. And a lot of guys couldn't do that. But we don't have guys on the team that the Knicks, to me, we're a decent team. We're not a very good team because we don't have solid elite guys. Like you just said, Steph, when Brunson was playing out in FIBA, he had those guys who the skill set and the level was a little bit better than what we are working with now on the Knicks. So to me, if you're going to do that iso ball, sure, I'm all for it. If you're on and you're hot and you have the hot hand, great. I think you should keep feeding that guy and take it ISO and do what you need to do one-on-one.
Right.
But at the same time, if you're not there and we're passing you the ball and you're not hitting it, you got to still know how to be able to pass the ball out, maybe create a fake and pass the ball out, or your footwork has to be there so you could create other ways to get to the basket and score. I don't see anyone on the Knicks doing that.
Yeah, I don't think it's all the time, though. I think we do have games in which we pass the ball movement is good. Games when the ball movement is not too good. But I will say this. I think as a fan base, we think ball movement equals wins. And it just doesn't. You know, I think ball movement is important, you know, to move that defense. Move the defense so you can get, easier shots. But I think some fans, when I hear ball movement, them complaining about ball movement, and I could be so wrong here, and I know the fans will correct me. The chat will correct me. To me, ball movement, when some fans say it, is code for, I don't want to turn on my TV and see Randle and Brunson taking all the shots.
Correct.
It's not pretty. And for a lot of fans, the Knicks are entertainment. We'll get in. That's a whole other story. And that's code for, this is not good basketball to watch. This is not pretty. I don't want to turn on and just see them taking all of the shots. The other thing I hear is it's code for, and I'm interpreting this, my guy's not getting enough shots. Whoever your guy is.
Yep.
Ever so often, you'll hear fans give basketball reasons. We need to get easier shots. We need to, warm some guys up, get them touches early so later on they're warmed up and they'll be there for us. We need to get this defense moving from side to side so they can stop loading up on players. And I'm all for that. But a lot of times when I'm hearing ball movement, that's not really what I'm hearing or perceiving from Knick fans. It doesn't seem to me to be basketball reasons, or there is a way the game should be played.
Right.
And we're not playing the way it should be played. So these are all of the things I'm hearing. I could be wrong. I know the chat will let me know.
I completely agree with you. Like I said before, I think it's still about optics and what people, like you said, they turn on the TV and they see what they see. Like a lot of people complain about our offense, but last year we had a top 5 offense. Like this year, we're too small, but we got a top 5 defense.
That's true.
Like it's all about optics, man. It depends on what that particular fan wants us to look like. Tibbs,
right. The way we complained about our offense last year, you would have thought we was in the bottom, as far as the offense was concerned. It's true.
Yeah. And we didn't even shoot that well, and we were still like a top 5 offense. Same thing with Tibbs. If he's not doing something that you see like in front of your face that you actually agree with, you think he's either doing a bad job, but then he could be the best coach in the world when we win. So I think it's all about optics and what people are looking at.
Right. Your thoughts on just the offense itself. So what I'll hear a lot is the Knicks offense is archaic. And I had this conversation with Freezy earlier. Shout out to Freezy from Blanche Tears. Or we need to run, if we want ball movement, we need to run a different offense. And my question is, do you think the offense dictates ball movement or the players dictate ball movement? Or both?
Well, for me, the players dictate ball movement, not the actual offense, because offense, you could either not move the ball or move the ball and either can score or not score. Like it's not the offense to me. I think it's the players that actually make up that offense, and the coach too, how he wants the offense, that particular offense ran. Mm-hmm. But to me, it's always about the players and how they run that particular offense.
Okay. Anybody else have any thoughts on that?
I just want to know what a modern offense is, because I feel like the Knicks take a lot of 3-pointers. Like,
that's
if we're just talking
offense.
About, you know what I mean? If modern offense is shooting threes, we shot 42 just the other day, and I don't think we've been below 25 3-point shots in a single game all season. I mean, we shoot it from deep. We don't make a lot of them from deep a lot of games, but we sure do shoot a ton of them. And if you want to talk about innovation, I think his the way that we utilize our offensive rebounding skills is certainly ahead of the curve and getting the extra possessions. And I also think that one of the reasons why we don't pass the ball as much is because when you pass the ball more, you have more turnovers, right? And so that's one of the things that Thibodeau wants to do is limit turnovers so that he can maximize the number of shot attempts that we get. I mean, when we're at our best, we're shooting 10, 15, 20 times more per game than the other team. And we need to do that because we shoot 5, 10, 15% worse than those teams most of the time. And so I kind of feel like that's a modern offense. Like what do modern offenses do? This is a legit question. I just want to know, what is it that modern offenses do that the Knicks don't do?
Right. And to your point, Geoff, we're 9th in the league in 3-point attempts. We take 35 a game.
Yeah, I was just looking at that.
Yeah.
And we're 20th in percentage though. That's
why we got to get up so many because we just don't shoot them well. Anybody else?
Right. And I'm just out of what Geoff was saying. I just want to look. He said, "What do we don't do well?" I'm looking up assists. We're 27th in assists, but part of that, the reason for that is because we don't shoot well, not because we're not actually making passes. Mm-hmm. Like if we shoot at a higher clip, better percentage, then our assists will go up like drastically.
That's right. It's
right now we're 30th in field goal percentage at 41.5% per game, and that's after shooting well against San Antonio.
Right. It's only 30 teams. Like we dead ass last in that category with people complaining about stuff. Like I don't get it.
That's why I say the assist is a half stat. Like it doesn't really tell the story because it takes, one pass and it also takes one hit in the shot. So that doesn't mean we're not passing. It could also mean we're not hitting the shot. So
yeah, I don't think it's I think that you can have ball movement off of any offense, including a pick and roll offense. If you have players that can read the defense and willing to make the extra pass. Because once you get past your defender and the defense is in rotation, it's just a matter of who's the open guy and just pass the ball and keep moving it until you find the open guy. And that's on the players to be able to first read the defense and two, be willing to make the extra pass. And you can also run an offense, a motion offense, which is supposed to be a lot of ball and player movement, and it's stopped with a player. You know what I mean? Because that player is a ball stopper. So I don't think it's the offense. I think it's the players in the offense. And we got players who like to get their own shots off the dribble. And sometimes there is an extra pass to be made for a better shot that's just not made. And I don't think that's the offense. The last 2 games we were better. I don't even know if we should count San Antonio. They're 30th in the league.
Yeah.
In defense. You can get whatever shot you want against them. There's no resistance. So it's easy to pass the ball around. When you come up against these teams that's taking away your options, it's harder to pass. Now you got to think. You really have to think. And those teams whose defense is clicking and moving and taking away options, you really got to think. And a lot of times we just be like, you know what? I'm going to take it right here. You know what I mean? I'm going to take it right here. So I agree in, trying to get easier shots, trying to get, people involved. But to me, I don't think it's the offense itself. I think it's the players that we have. I think RJ Barrett this year has gotten better at processing the game because there was times last year when just tunnel vision, just wouldn't people on they show clips, people outside the 3-point line waving their hand like they was hailing. Well, I said hailing a taxi. I keep forgetting. This is the Uber generation.
Yeah, they don't know nothing about that.
Right, they don't know nothing about that. But this year it's totally different. It's you got to be able to process the game. Anything else on that?
Hold up,
before
Queen.
we
Hold up, Queen.
go-
We still got the dollar cabs and all them joints in the city, in Brooklyn and Queens.
okay,
We stay hailing.
okay, okay, okay. Oh, let me just see, Nick Yak. I haven't seen the ball move more this year. Dante has improved the ball movement the minutes he plays. I think it varies from game to game, and I think it was the same thing last year where we had games. It was like, "Whoa, look at this," and then other games it was like, "Whoa, look at this." You know?
The other way.
It'll look better with Dante, regardless, because look who he replaced. Like this team is the exact same team as last year, except for he replaced Obi. So, like, he's a guard, so the ball handling and the ball movement is always going to be better with him on the floor, opposed to Obi. Other than that, everything's the same.
Yeah, and I think once we start shooting better, the offense is definitely going to get better because we're still playing our game, like I mentioned this morning, the volume game. And our defense is better than last year, and we're getting steals and more fast break points. So it's just a matter of shooting better. Anything else on Brunson before we move to Randle? No. Okay. So there was an article, Stephen Bondi in the New York Post, that Randle is a source said that Randle is not 100%. He's about 70%. But he didn't want to sit. Now, when the other, like the Sports Illustrated, picked it up, they worded it as he resisted or refused to sit. But when you go back to the original article, that's not what it says. It's just basically he's just somebody, even when he's not 100%, that wants to play. So my question to the panel and to the chat is, do you think he's being selfish, in the sense of, wanting to play even though he's not 100%? Or do you like that? Do you like a guy who always wants to, be out there and play when they're not 100%? We could do Ajay, Geoff, Jerrell, and Lady in the Show.
Well, I'm gonna. I hear your question. I'm gonna answer it, but before that, I want to kind of visit something else, right?
Okay.
If he's not 100%, he wants to play. Tibbs want him to play, but he's not 100%. The doctors determined that he's not 100%. I think the organization should step in and say, "You're sitting down." They're investing a lot of money in Julius Randle. If he's not 100% and he's playing, it's like he's gonna become damaged goods, and the front office should step in. And I think in a lot of these teams, the doctors, the medical staff has jurisdiction, have power over the coach and even over the player. If they deem you're not ready to play, they're gonna say you can't get on. You're not ready to play. You have to go to rehab. You got to do what you got to do to get to a percentage where you can be effective. Because if you're not 100%, all this money they're paying you, you're not effective, right? So if that's the case, then I think the front office should step in and sit him down. Do I like a player that? I mean, it depends, because I do like that. If you can get on the court, you do want to get on the court. You don't want to leave your teammate, your troops. You don't want to turn your back on them. You want to be there with them, right? But you got to look at the big picture, right? Or you're going to be with them today, this week, and then they lose you for like 3 months during the season because you didn't want to sit out another couple of weeks. So you got to look at the big picture. So you got to be smart about it. It's good that you want to be there with your teammates, but again, you still have to look at what's really good for the team. You for 2 weeks and then you go out, or you sit for 2 weeks and then you're there for the rest of the season. Okay. It's good. It's nice. He's being a good soldier, but it may not be the smart thing to do if that's the case.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my take on it.
Okay, Geoff?
I like I'm old school. I like it when players are tough and they fight through injury and they just get out there and play. I love that personality. I hear what Ajay is saying though too. And I think that the one caveat with that too is that if you're injured to the point where your quality of play is hurting the team, then I think that becomes an issue. But if the coach feels like you're not hurting the team and you're out there, and you're giving it your best, I don't really have a problem with it. And the other thing that I'll say is always be leery of an article that comes from the New York Post. My mama taught me that.
Okay. Jerrell?
Yeah, I think it's just tough. It's tough playing in New York, man. We complain about everything. Our paper writes about everything. Now we're talking about somebody who is arguably the best player on our team wants to play as he's coming off of an injury. Like since when the best players didn't do that?
Yeah.
Like I'll be kind of hard pressed. Like all of the team's best players in every sport play hurt and injured. Like they have to. That's what pretty much makes them the best in the first place. Say if Julius Randle sat, like if I can get 75% of Julius Randle, his 75% is still better than anybody else's 100% at that position on our team. Like who else is going to play power forward for us? We don't even have a backup power forward. It's Josh Hart. So we was gonna let Julius Randle sit out at 75% and he can actually play, just so we can start Josh Hart at the 4. Like that's not going to happen. I don't see any problem with this. Like your best players, that's what your best players do. That's what your best players are supposed to do. If they didn't do that, and if he didn't do that, then it will be the other way around, and everybody will be killing him that he didn't play. So for me, it should be up to him if he plays, unless the organization think that he's going to hurt himself even further, so it'll mess up the season. You can't really tell Julius Randle to sit down if he feels that he can play. That has to be like somebody high in the front office has to tell him to sit down. If that's the case. But if not, then he's going to play. He's supposed to play, and I don't have any problem with that at all.
Okay. Lady in the shop?
Yeah, I agree with the fellas. I'm 50-50 on both. Like I applaud Randall for wanting to get out there and play, but he's an asset to the team. And, I wouldn't want him to risk getting hurt or, causing more harm than good by trying to be, we know he's strong. He likes to get out there and play. Randall's a warrior. I applaud him for that. And, at the same time, I'm very get shit done. So I'm like, get out there and make it happen. But I would hate for him to, tweak his ankle or like Ajay said, and now he's out, for several games or however long. And, it's true, like Jerrell said, we don't have a backup. So who do you go to? I alluded to in the beginning, Josh Hart is not gonna. I've come to terms, kind of like how you have with Grimes. I've given up on that with Josh Hart as far as points are concerned. So yeah, I didn't know that my mom was actually telling me earlier. She didn't mention the exact article, but she basically was saying, oh, they were saying Randall's been playing, but he's not at 100%. So I was like, oh, I didn't know that. I thought that he was good. So I guess that was a little bit of a shocker for me, but nonetheless, I think that, I would rather him sit, or take it easy if he needs to. And we got to chuck up a few L's without him. Listen, because we're going to need him at the end of the day.
Yeah, I agree. If him playing makes the injury worse, then he should sit. But if it doesn't make the injury worse, I agree. I think it was Jerrell. 75% of Randle is better than 100% of Josh Hart. If him playing doesn't make the injury worse. Yeah. So I applaud him doing that, and I also applaud him not in the media. Oh, I'm hurt. That's why I'm playing. The ankle is still not 100%. Like, it's just no excuses, from him. And you never hear excuses from him. So I definitely like that. And then I'll also say he has a lot of gravity, even when he's not hitting shots. And by that, I mean, for those who don't know, he draws so much attention. And it does open up easier shots, for others if we can get them the ball. It does open up, easy, it opens up easier shots, for guys, even when he's not 100%. Shout out to the chat. Kareem Grant, appreciate you. David L. I think JJ said, if his injury can't get worse, I say play through it. I agree. The X production, that shows that Randle cares. And yeah, everybody talking about Grimes. Yeah.
Grimes what?
Grimes need to pick it up. I think.
Pick up what? And like shooting?
His scoring. They
Oh,
said.
he ain't. He's not.
That was Kerry Cox.
Salute to Kerry. That's my guy. But he not though.
Yeah.
Hate to say he's not going to pick up his scoring.
You don't think so, Jerrell?
Hell no.
Man.
I think he the same Grimes we saw last year.
I said the same thing, Jerrell.
Exact same Grimes.
And you think he's gonna be that same Grimes? Like,
mm-hmm.
Damn.
I think that's just how he is, man. I don't think Grimes is going to be a volume type of scorer throughout his career. He might be a 3-and-D guy.
No, but when we seen him in the what was that last shit?
Like, go ahead, keep going. You saw me.
No, we saw him in the Rising Star Challenge. He was putting up shots, and we seen him in the summer league. He's putting up shots.
That's a fake game, AJ.
Exactly.
No, but it is a fake game. But when he's the guy or one of the two guys, he put up shots.
Okay, cool. So when
He's
will
not
he
ever be that on this team?
Will he ever be the guy on this team?
You never know.
No, he won't.
I hope he not. Let's just say that.
Grimes is only starting because, again, this is what I keep saying. We don't have solid backups. Right. He is Tibbs' guy and he plays great defense. Right. But if we had a solid shooter, Grimes wouldn't be starting. Let's keep it real here. Would Grimes be starting if we had a solid wing player, a guy who would be able to shoot? And I think because who would be your next option if we didn't have Grimes starting in the game?
I would like to know if Evan Fournier wasn't a cone on defense.
I was gonna say we do have a solid.
He would be starting shooter over Quentin Grimes.
I don't know.
No, if he could play defense, if he was a defensive player, because you can't have Fournier next to Brunson,
right? Because he can't play defense. But I don't know anything that Grimes can do better than Evan Fournier on the offensive end.
No,
defense is a completely different story. But on the offense, though, like if he played a lick of defense, he'd be starting or at least getting probably more minutes than Grimes, even if he didn't start.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Yeah. So let's stick on Grimes since we're here. Is he not getting enough shots, or is he just not aggressive enough? What's your thoughts?
How many shots did he have last game? Like 5 or 6?
Yeah, he didn't have a lot. Yeah, 5 or 6.
I think.
But you also got the shots. You got to also measure the shots against how many minutes he played. So we're acting like he's getting 5 shots in 36 minutes. He's playing like 20 minutes. So we have to take that into account. But just from watching it, do you feel like we're not looking for him enough? And it could be both. We're not looking for him enough, or he's passing up shots. Just your thoughts.
I think just for me real quick, and then I'll let everybody else go. I think the fact that he's not aggressive enough is the reason he doesn't get that many minutes. Because what will be the other reason? If he is our best wing defender, he is our starting 2 guard, why does he only get like 21 minutes a game? To me, it will have to be because of his lack of aggressiveness on the offensive end. Because if that's the case, he'd probably be getting more minutes.
And maybe you don't even bring in DiVincenzo.
Right. Like why would other players even be playing his minutes if he actually was good at that? So I think that's the reason he's not getting that many minutes in the first place. If everybody thinks that and I think so too, he's our best wing defender, the only reason he's not getting burned is because of the offense. Like, to me, that's clear.
Wow. Okay. All right. Anybody else?
Well, and I think that when RJ's playing good defense, that allows you to play Quickley more minutes because you can play RJ at the 3 and allow him to guard, because the
Right.
Quickley is just as a good defender as Grimes. You just can't handle the bigger players like
Right.
Grimes can. And so if you're getting solid defense from RJ, though, that changes the equation a little bit, and
Right.
it frees up more minutes for Quickley, who's a more dynamic offensive player than Grimes. I don't know that he's a better spot up shooter than Grimes, but more dynamic. I think we'd agree he's a more dynamic player at any rate. And so Grimes is just not very aggressive. And I think that and it's funny because still that starting unit is so positive. So he does a good job when he's on the floor, even if his minutes, even if his offensive stats aren't incredible. But again, you don't need a high usage player with that at that 2 spot especially when you have Barrett shooting the ball like he's shooting the ball and doing the things that he's doing and Brunson and Randle. You don't need a 4th high usage player in there. I think that's one of the reasons that unit works so well together is that Grimes and Robinson don't need the ball. When you get him the ball, the other night against San Antonio, he shot the ball well. I think he was 2 of 4 from 3, 3 of 6 from the field, something like that. So it's not like he's not making shots when he gets them. He just doesn't get that many of them, and that's okay.
Somebody made a good point, though. I've something about Brunson having to do something because he doesn't have a shooting guard. I forgot. I forgot what it is. I think the other thing about Grimes is you can hide your worst defender on him. And that's what the Clippers did with Harden. They put Harden on Grimes because Grimes is not going to take a lot of shots. He's not going to put the ball on the floor and take it to the rack. So you could put your worst defender on him. I think it's both. There's times when I think he doesn't get enough shots. And then there's other times when I think he's not aggressive enough. And that can happen in the same game. It can happen in the same game where he's not aggressive enough. I just wish he had a Quickley mentality. I think that would just change everything.
Or Deuce mentality. Deuce isn't afraid to put up shots.
Oh, Deuce will get in for 5 minutes. You look at the box score, he didn't put up 6 shots.
Yeah, Deuce don't care. I like Deuce.
But as somebody said, if you put Quickley in the starting lane, we've talked about this so many times.
Right.
What does that do to the second team? But the question really wasn't whether he should start or not. It was just, do you feel he's not getting enough shots or he's not being aggressive enough? Anybody else want to comment on that?
Well, I like we didn't talk about it, but you flashed Arthur Johnson's comment on the screen real quick. I think it said, hold on, let me get it. That one. Brunson doesn't look for him in the corner, but he's not aggressive. That's the reason he's not looking for him in the corner.
Right.
Because he's not aggressive. And if I was the point guard, I wouldn't be throwing the ball to your ass either.
That's exactly the point.
That's exactly the point.
That's exactly the point
that everybody's trying to make. This is perfect right here. Like if Grimes was more aggressive, he'd get the ball more.
Agreed.
Do you think, for those who've played basketball, and this is for the chat, as well. Do you think knowing a player is not aggressive or knowing a player is inconsistent with their shooting impacts? And if there's some point guards in the chat, I would like to hear your opinion. Impacts whether or not you pass to a player, or do you subscribe to the belief that you make the right pass if a player is open, whether they're consistent, inconsistent, aggressive, or not? Or do you think it does impact the passing?
Okay.
Ajay?
Oh, okay. No, I was going to say, Jerrell, can I go first?
Of course.
So, yes. Well, as a point guard, you have to know your players. You have to know your squad. You have to know their strength and their weaknesses, right? So you don't just pass the ball if somebody's open, right? If you have Mitch at the top of the key, you're not going to give him the ball, but you probably give it to Isaiah Hartenstein because he's got that little floater he can make. The answer to your question is you have to know your players, and you have to, like, as the point guard, or even not just point guard, as a passer, like the whole team, you got to know what everybody can do. You know what I'm saying? So if Mitch is in the dunker spot, I'm sure everybody will probably give it to him because they know what he can do. Like, that's the job. That's what these guys do. They work that out in practice. They work that out. They study in the film room. That's what they do. You have to learn what your players can do. Okay, when that way you put them in a good position. You don't just throw the ball, unless it's the last second thing. Mitch happened to be beyond the 3-point line. He's got to heave one up, but otherwise you got to put him in a good position to be able to score. That's everybody's job on the team.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else?
Well, yeah, I mean, kind of like IKBM just said. You remember that game, game 6 in Miami, when Josh Hart, Brunson, he didn't pass him the ball, and I think a little bit of that was probably because Josh Hart was not shooting the ball, or he's not sure that Josh Hart was going to take that shot, so he's either looking for somebody else or try to go himself, and we saw what happened.
And then I'll also say, maybe they know Josh Hart won't shoot the corner 3, but they trust what he's going to do with the ball, right, even if it's not a shot.
Yeah, but if you're running out of clock, if you're running out of time, there's no time for him to do it. Because at that play, like there was only a few seconds left, man. It's like either shoot it or you lose it. So somebody had to put one up at that point.
Right. No, I'm just saying in general, not particularly that play.
Oh.
While they still pass the ball to Josh Hart, even though he is hesitant to shoot, as Lady in the Chef pointed out. He's another one that passes up shots,
Yep.
As well. Anybody else?
I just think if you are a point guard or if you're like a quarterback in football, you know who to pass to, when to pass it to them. I think that's kind of your job to know that. Like you even if you did pass it to Grimes over there, you kind of know in your head what he's going to do with it and what he's not going to do with it if you're Jalen Brunson. So for me, I think, you would definitely pass the ball to certain people in certain situations. It's almost like in the fourth quarter, okay, like for example, Mitch is our worst foul shooter. He's not going to get the ball in the fourth quarter in crunch time because they can just foul him, and the rest. So you have to keep the ball out of Mitch's hands. It's pretty much the same thing. It might not be in crunch time, but even throughout the game, why are you giving the ball to people that can't shoot or people that won't shoot? Like, what's the point of it?
Right. To die for, I think that's the issue. That's what we're talking about in terms of not being aggressive. If he's deferring to Randle and RJ and Brunson, that's not being, that's not being assertive.
Yep.
Let me get to somebody. I knew this comment was coming. Anthony D, not this one. He's been typecast as a space wing. It's less than 10 games. Relax. This was all last season too, you know. Um, um, Ivory 10. I need to get on this show at some point and talk about Mitch after the numerous do we need to replace Mitch podcast. This is what kills me with Knick fans.
Yeah. Well, you think we still can't replace Mitch if I want to?
Exactly.
Players start playing well, and now we need to fall on our sword about what we said last season when they may not have been playing well.
Right. Mitch is definitely playing a lot better than he did last season.
Correct. But I stand on everything I said about Mitch, RJ, Randle, Obi Toppin last season. I'm not changing it. And I'm not sorry for it because I said what I said based on what I saw at the time. So I'm not changing anything.
Queen. Those are the right A's of the chat. They spit out receipt.
Right.
The right A's of the chat.
That was a good one, I think.
Yeah, I'm not changing anything. And as well as Mitchell Robinson has played, and when I say well, I mean lights out. The issue offensively is still the same in the playoffs. It's still the same. Doesn't change. I think what does change a little bit is sometimes you could play so great on defense that it mitigates what you're not, giving on offense, and you're just willing to just give that up because you're getting so much on the defensive end. So I think him playing this way changes things a little bit in that respect if this continues. But also we have Hartenstein. So in the playoffs, if it does get to that point, just like last year, where they're using Mitchell's man to crowd and double team and do things like that, and you feel like it's hurting the team, you can just bring in Hartenstein. So Ivory 10, what Mitch is doing now doesn't change anybody's take from last season. Definitely doesn't change mine. And we need a star still. And if that means Mitch or Randle or RJ or Brunson has to go, they got to go. They're going to have to go.
Tibbs, Leon Rose. I don't give a damn who goes if we win a championship. Like, that's all I care about, man.
Amen.
Anybody can go.
Yeah.
Yeah. No doubt. Grimes defender don't respect Grimes. And that's but are we not taking advantage of that? Shout out to Silk Sutton. That's Grimes defenders don't respect Grimes, so he's always used to double Brunson. But are we hitting Brunson in those? Brunson. Are we hitting Grimes in those situations? And if we are, is he taking a shot?
And Grimes' shot is also, his shot reminds me of RJ's the past 2 seasons, where it hit everything but the net. It hit the back block, the front, the side, everything but going through. And when Grimes shoot his threes, sometimes they're too hard, so they're hitting that center block, but between the hoop and the backboard, that little orange center block, they hit that, or they hit the front of the rim. And he has to work on, RJ was there where that was him too. His threes just weren't going down. They were either too hard, too short, Quickley too. But Grimes, he's just not knocking down the three. But my thing is, if you're not knocking down the three, the issue I have with Grimes, he doesn't drive to the basket. So you just basically a one-dimensional player, which is your defense. He doesn't drive. And, at least with RJ, he was driving. Yeah, he was missing layups at times, but You got to be able to do something else or take it in. Everything don't have to be a 3-point shot. He needs to learn how to develop again. I go back to the handles where you can just a quick pop up 1-2, and then you could take that mid-range jumper and knock down the shot. And with Grimes, I don't think I've ever even seen him make a move like that. You know, a lot of times with him, he has to be set up where he's coming off the curl. You know, someone's setting him a screen, Mitch or whoever, they're setting that screen for him. He has to come around off the curl and boom, we got to feed him the ball. And like you guys were saying, those plays have to be set up for him. But I just, Grimes doesn't, he's too indecisive. He's second guessing himself. I think he's also in his head. And these are a lot of the traits we saw in RJ the past 2 seasons. And, you know, I think especially come next year, a lot of us Knicks fans, Grimes, you have to step it up. You're not a rookie anymore. And he needs to work on his game because a lot of what he's doing is very much on a basic level. You're not in the G League and you're starting. So just relying on that 3-point shot is not going to get him far. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I will say, in terms of the number of games he's played in the NBA, I think is less than 2 NBA seasons. I think he's played 130 games in 2 seasons with, you know, so usually, you know, when you in your second, this is his 3rd year, but in terms of games played, usually when you're in your 2nd year, you can expect some inconsistency. I think the issue is, why is he thrust into this position?
Yeah.
That's the issue for me.
Right.
The Knicks act like our ecosystem is just this roster. You know what I mean? Like the only players we can pull from is just this roster instead of the entire NBA. You know, you couldn't find well, you know, they don't grow in trees though. Somebody that can shoot the 3 and defend, so you can bring Grimes along a little more slowly. You know what I mean? Not sure. All right, let's move on to RJ Barrett. Are you buying, selling, or as Geoff said, holding that RJ Barrett continues his really, really good play? And you know, I talked about it from the very first game when he wasn't efficient the first game or 2. His process is better. His decision making, you know, is better. Then since then, the efficiency has come along. So are you buying, selling, or holding that this is going to be RJ Barrett for the rest of the season? And we'll start with Jerrell. We'll just do the regular Jerrell, Adjay, Geoff, lady in the show.
Okay, I'm gonna make this quick because I'm gonna steal Jeff's answer. It's definitely holding. I'm not gonna, you know, overreact. Even if RJ was playing badly, I still wouldn't overreact over it because, you know, he's usually a slow starter anyway. This is the first year that he's not had a slow start, it seemed like. But yeah, I don't want to overreact over him playing too well either. Like, just, you know, just like the other way around. So yeah, RJ just got to still show me something, man. Like maybe around the All-Star break, maybe we'll see where he's at. But yeah, he still isn't consistent enough for me to say that, you know, he's not inconsistent. So until that comes, then, you know, I give him props for playing well, though. Definitely, he's definitely played a lot better. But yeah, it's a hole for me, definitely.
And are you holding till around the All-Star break because of how long he's been inconsistent? Yes. So do you feel like that helps balance it out by waiting not just 10 games or 20 games? You want to see, you know, that's more than half the season, actually.
Yeah, it's more than half the season, but RJ has been here. What year is this?
5.
So yes, so 4 years of inconsistent play. Maybe give me a half a season of consistent play before I call you consistent.
Okay, I think that's fair. Adjay?
Well, what's the other side of the question, Queen? Who's available? Like, who you trying to trade him for?
No.
That
We're not
makes.
trading. We're not trading.
Well,
Just buying and selling that he's going to continue to be this guy.
oh
Well, he's still trying to trade AJ. Crazy.
no.
He's trying to trade him.
I would.
That wasn't the question. He throwing in a twist to the question.
You've been trying to trade AJ since the offseason.
No, I just like Jerrell, I would hold. I would hold. This is not the first time RJ Barrett has had nice stretches in the past. I mean, year 2 RJ, we talk about that behind the scenes a lot of times. Like, I like our year 2 RJ, and right now, and I some people talking about like should he be considered for most improved player? I don't think so, not yet. Like, after just a couple of games, man, you can't be talking about that already, because right now, I mean, granted, when you watch the game, Queen, he's developed the game. He know the tunnel vision. He's reading the game better.
Right. Yes.
Okay. So, but in terms of production, he's right at year 2 RJ, in my opinion. But like I said, in his play, you can see he's more comfortable. You could see that mid-range. You can see he's not forcing it at the rim when, and his shots getting blocked and by 4 or 5 times a game, and he still keep going. So he's a little he's developed that IQ at this point. But production, even in bad seasons, RJ, he's had slow starts, but after the All-Star break, we see this RJ, like, he's been very good.
Right. So
we already know this, but like Jerrell said, give me half a season, give me a full season even. Yeah. So
okay.
Yeah, I'm holding.
All right. Geoff?
Well, there's only 2 players in the NBA right now who are shooting 47% from 3 and 85% at the line on over 5 attempts per game from both places. One of them is Steph Curry, and the other one is RJ Barrett. I don't expect that to. I mean, his effective field goal percentage is 8 points higher than his career so far this season. I don't think it's reasonable to expect that level of efficiency to continue. And remember, he's been out for 2 games, so that means 6 games, very small sample size. So keep that in mind. But I don't want this to seem like this is a negative on RJ, because I really think he's playing well. And Fred Katz had an interview with him, and I love this story that I heard. So I'm going to repeat it if you'll bear with me for just a second. So there was a play during one of the games, I don't remember which one, where he took like one dribble and then he made a pass to Josh Hart in the corner, and Josh Hart, I don't even think made the shot, but he made the shot to the corner, and so we asked him. He's like, well, in the past you would just have your head down and you'd always go straight to the rim, and he said, did you see him in the corner? Did you see Josh Hart open in the corner? And RJ's answer was no, but I saw that his man was in the paint coming over to help from me, so I knew that the corner was supposed to be open, so I automatically threw it there because I know that he's going to be there. Not that I saw him, but his thought process was right, that saying, okay, the defender is here, that means that my guy is going to be wide open, so I'm going to get the ball out there. That means the game is slowing down for him. Right. That means that and you see this so far every game, his decision making has been a lot better. This last game, he had 6 assists and no turnovers. That's outstanding from him. I mean, that's outstanding for anybody, but I mean, really, that's double his career average in assists without any turnovers. That's really good. So his process is so good right now that even when his shot comes back down to earth, and it's going to, he's not going to be able to. Hopefully he does. Let me put it that way. If he turns into Steph Curry level shooter, more power to him. That's great for the Knicks, but I don't think that's reasonable. So if that shot comes back down to earth, if he continues to play with that process and to be able to study what the defense is to know what the defense is doing and make the right play like he's been doing. He doesn't have to shoot the ball at Steph Curry levels to be a really effective player, especially when we're getting year 2 defensive output from him. And so for me, the hot shooting start aside, which is gravy as far as I'm concerned, I love everything that RJ Barrett is doing right now. And this group knows that I've been probably of the folks on the panel, very few have been more critical of his inefficiency than I have. But for right now, I'm just super encouraged by what I've seen. But again, I'm still going to say hold, because how far back to earth does that shot come? Does it come down? In other words, so he's shooting 44% or 47% from 3. And so that means his 2-point percentage is still really not very good, and so when his 3-point shooting comes down, does his 2-point percentage stay about the same, or does it go up a little bit? Do we see a better percentage? So those are the things that we have to look at. But I am super encouraged by what we've seen from RJ Barrett. I think he's been terrific. I think you can make the case that he and Mitchell Robinson have been the 2 best players on the Knicks so far on this young season, and we wouldn't be 4-4 without them. So keep proving me wrong, RJ. Keep proving me wrong.
Yeah, lady in the chat.
I'm holding also. I do like what I'm seeing from RJ so far this season. I think him playing in FIBA definitely has helped his game a lot. It's helped him gain that comfortability. And then as well as I'm sure him working on his game in the off season, his 3-point shot looks a lot better. He looks a lot more comfortable in the shots that he's taking. And I see a sense of confidence with his shots that he's taking. And even when the way he's driving the ball, the way he's protecting the ball, I know before a lot of times guys was able to just like get their hand in there and like slap it away while he was on the way to the rim. But I think, as a long time Knick fan, my anxiety won't allow me to buy because, you would think I'm betting and I'm not, but I think right now I'll take with what he's given us. And I really do like what Geoff was just saying. I hope he continues this throughout the regular season and still shows up in the postseason, because I think that's important, not to just give us a good, solid regular season, but to bring it also in the postseason.
Right.
And then also for him to stay healthy. But right now I'm holding.
Wow. I'm buying. I'm buying, but I will say, this to Geoff's point, I'm not buying the efficiency is going to be at this level, 47% from 3. Like I'm not buying that. But I'm buying the process. I'm buying his, how he's reading the game, his floor. It's the same. How he's reading the game, his floor game, the process. That's all basically saying the same thing. I'm buying that. I'm buying how he's allowing the game to come to him and just not forcing things. I'm buying that. I'm buying that his 3-pointer shot, probably not at 47%, but I'm buying 35, 36%, which would be really, really good given he shot 30%. And I'm buying him being the third. Well, and what people he may eventually. I'm buying him being somebody that you can rely on in addition to Randle and Brunson. Let's put it that way. And I'm buying the defense. And I'm buying the defense. I'm just not buying the high efficiency from 3. I'm not buying that. And I'll say to those in the chat, for the rest of the panel who's holding, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I think given what we've seen from RJ Barrett, if somebody and now this is just the first 6 games. Remember, he's missed 2. And somebody is saying, nah, given what I've seen, I need to the All-Star break or I need to the end of the season. I think that's fair. I don't think that's hate. I know a lot of people in the chat is saying that's hate. I don't think that's hate. I think that's fair. But I'm buying. Ajay.
No, I was gonna say if some people, if you don't agree with their opinion, you hate them. So if you don't think exactly the way they think, you hate So and when you criticize it, at some point, every one of us here on this panel had criticized probably every player on the Knicks. So we're like super Knicks haters right now. According to
right.
people. When you put it all together, we hate the Knicks.
Right. Sherwin, I told the chat that RJ will average 24 points this season. I'm sticking with it. Listen, I'm here for it.
Well,
I'm here for it.
24 points is good. The thing is, how many shots is he going to take to average that 24 points? Okay, that's very important. RJ, he always scored. He was always a scorer, but he was taking a lot. He wasn't efficient. Right now, so far this season, he's extremely efficient, RJ Barrett. So we hope he keeps it up.
Right. Knicks 100 a GM. Are you listening? Like, are you listening to the panel? Like, there is a difference between giving somebody super credit for what they're doing now, but not wanting to extrapolate into the future. Right. And I think the panel, and if you've been listening to this show or, even the morning shows, a lot of credit for what RJ Barrett and Mitch has done in these 6 to 8 games that they've played. But you can't get upset with somebody because they don't want to extrapolate and from these 6 games or 8 games and say, he's going to be Durant. You know what I mean? You just you give credit where credit is due. But I'm not gonna get on anybody who doesn't want to make any grand conclusions at this time.
You're muted, Jerrell.
You still muted.
My bad.
There you go. There you go.
When it comes to the hate stuff, I don't hate RJ Barrett. I just think it doesn't matter what RJ for some people or some fans, I should say. I think they love RJ Barrett even when he didn't play well or when he doesn't play well.
Yes, yeah.
So that's what it pretty much is. So it kind of looks like hate when we criticize people. But if someone's not playing well, I don't love them.
They think we should compliment him even when he's playing like crap.
Right. So I don't super ultra love RJ in an uncomfortable way. Let's just say that. So when he does something bad, I will criticize him. But if he's playing well, just like now, I didn't criticize him at all.
No, like the Queen said, no pom poms on this.
Yeah, I haven't criticized RJ hardly all this season.
It's tough love every time.
And the thing about what I like about this panel is when the play changes, the narrative changes.
Yep.
We're not holding on to. There's some fans, some of us, because we're all fans, that hate a player so much, even when they start playing well.
Randle.
The narrative just doesn't change.
Look how many times what we used to say about Mitch.
Yep.
This season so far, we have not said a single negative thing about Mitch.
Lights out.
It's for a reason.
Lights out.
We wanted him to rebound more. We wanted him to do the stuff that he does well better. He's doing that stuff. So we don't really talk about Mitch at all because of that. Like, that's what it really is. Like,
Jerrell, it's like Julius Randle's killing it for like 10 games straight. He scored 30 points. 30 points, grabbing 10 rebounds. Some fan, yeah, but he gave us the thumbs down. He got to go. What? What are you talking about? You think
Always.
you think I hold on to things so
Come-
fast?
In the first week of the season, obviously Randle has had a bad season so far. I've seen some people on Twitter said they want Randle cut, not traded. Like they want him gone. Like, not even traded, like gone. I need him off the team.
Buy him out.
That's hate. That's what hate is. I don't want RJ to go anywhere unless we can trade him for somebody that's better. But other than that, I don't want him cut off the team, regardless of how bad he plays. Unless he absolutely sucks. But he's not. He's never been that bad.
Right. Yeah, definitely. No doubt. Let me see. X production, drawing the defense and making the right pass.
Oh, that's for RJ?
Yes.
Yeah.
Keith Turner, I'm holding on RJ, and I have my reasons as a longtime Knick fan.
We talk about RJ haters. That is the man you're supposed to talk to. Keith is not an RJ fan, but he's holding right now. He didn't sell.
Right. His IQ got better. He knows not to do gap coverage when he is aware of the corner shooters, for example. Yeah. Silk Sutton, over 40% from three. I'm selling on that one. Everything else I'm buying. Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at as well. To Die For, RJ growing into a real baller as well. Grew on me. All right. JJ, I'm cautiously optimistic. Still got to see some more, or just for a longer period of time, JJ, if you're still with us. X production, 20 games is the amount for me to have any feelings about the team. Forget even RJ, the team.
I remember
20 games. Don't talk to me before 20 games.
For me, it's 20 games too. I usually do 20 games.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to Mitchell Robinson. We might not get to everybody today unless we just do rapid fire. Robinson is making a push for Defensive Player of the Year. What does he need to do to get in the conversation, or do you feel like he's done enough already? Just keep doing what he's doing now. Jeff?
He needs to do a Galooly on Rudy Gobert and all those other people in front of him if he wants to get the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. Is so hard for Mitch. I'm a Mitch guy, but Defensive Player of the Year is hard. You got guys like Giannis and Embiid and Gobert, and you've got all of these, guys who have reputation, and so that makes it difficult, and a lot of times it's just people don't follow the Knicks like we follow the Knicks, so they just look at the stats and
Yes.
if his shot blocking is not where it has been, and people aren't going in the paint challenging him as much as they did, in previous seasons. His steal numbers are great right now. His rebounding numbers are really good.
Right.
I just think for an award, I think it's going to be tough on him, but I don't need him to get Defensive Player of the Year. If he's playing at this level, whether they recognize it or not, it makes the Knicks a better team. So I don't really care. This is the best Mitchell Robinson has ever played. I mean, I think we tend to forget because he's been here for 6 seasons. The kid's 25 years old. And he's 25 years old and he didn't play a minute of college basketball. And so he came to us and he was super raw. And then you add on top of that, he's had an injury history that's prevented him not just in game from getting better, because he missed a lot of games, but it also cost him an off season of actual training and being in shape. And I'm talking about basketball shape,
Right.
And he's come in this year and he's in the best shape of his life. I think he's finally learned how to work. I think that the Tom Thibodeau culture has kind of rubbed off on him, and he being around a bunch of guys like Grimes and like Quickley and Brunson and Randle has really, he understands what he needs to do to work. And so at least to me, it really looks like he did put in work this offseason, especially on his conditioning. And what I've noticed, and I think you said it earlier, but I think it's a really big deal, and I don't think it's to be understated. Last year, he played more with his hands at his sides, down his side. Now his hands are a lot more active. He's really being intentional about getting his hands in the passing lanes, always having them up and out. And I think that's making a big difference in his ability to impact the game. The way he sees the game is a lot better. It's the same thing with RJ. The game is slowing down for him, and he's able to see it and react better, and just a little nuances on defense. And then the thing that you and I have this conversation, I think, every week, Queen, but that he's really ripping down these rebounds in traffic. He's saying that ball is mine. He's not trying to defer to Julius Randle or anybody else. If he gets a hand on that ball, he's getting that ball now, and that's not something that he did before. As his strength is so much better. He was trying to block everything in sight his first 2 years, and that got him in a lot of foul trouble. He's staying down a lot more, I've noticed. He's not, and then he's got that, on rebounding, he's got those multiple jumps that he can do, and his blocking out is even more intentional than it's ever been. He boxes, his box out percentage, I haven't looked at the numbers, has to be incredible. And really, he's generational ability to offensive rebound. I mean, he's right now on pace. Again, small sample size. I think that has to be mentioned. I mean, I screamed it with EJ. I have to say it for Mitch too, because it's definitely true. It's 8 games, but he's at like 20.8% offensive rebound percentage. That's better than Dennis Rodman at his peak. Like, that's freakish numbers. Like, and I don't even know if that's sustainable, but I don't know that he has to be even that good. You know what I mean? Even if that comes down a little bit, that's still so elite. And when you have someone with that elite a skill, and then he's combining defensive rebounds with that now, if he's rebounding, if he averages 12 rebounds a game this year, with the steals and the blocks and everything else that he does, I think that's a game changer for us. He's been great, and I've loved to see it. So I'm thrilled.
And let me just add to the question a little bit: Defensive Player of the Year conversation or All NBA defensive team? Do you think he's in the conversation, lady in the show?
I do. I think Mitch needs to keep doing what he's doing. One thing that I particularly noticed with Mitch is that last season, Mitch wasn't in the best shape. A lot of times when whether it was us or another team got fouled and was on the free throw line, Mitch would be grabbing his shorts for dear life near his kneecaps. Because granted, he was playing a lot of minutes, but he was really trying to catch his breath because his conditioning, his stamina wasn't there. This season, he seems so much lighter on his feet. He looks a lot stronger. His stamina looks like it's there. He seems like he's breathing a lot better. He's not gnawing at his shorts and, trying to gasp for air on the court because he's so exhausted from having to, fight off guys off his back and grab rebounds. But I think Mitch, if he continues at the rate that he's going now and stays healthy, absolutely, Mitch should be a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year or all team defensive player. So he's doing all the grunt work that we need him to do. Grabbing, he's going ham on the boards, giving us 16 boards, 15 boards, almost 20 boards a game. So whether that's on the defensive end or offensive end, but I applaud him for really working on his stamina and getting stronger. But going back to what Geoff was saying, I think it also is a matter of him being able to guard those guys like your Jokic, your Giannis, You know, and I know Mitch is taking on that. He wants to take on that challenge this season and really be able to prove he can guard those guys. You know, your Bam Adebayos and Delano. I was reading his comment. I think that Mitch is taking on that challenge and wants to be able to guard those superstar bigs. So I think if Mitch can really, you know, be able to take on these other superstar 5 players, the Embiids, you know, your Jokic, your you know, other big guys, and still be able to contribute and do what he's doing for us, absolutely. Mitch should be considered for defensive player of the year.
Yeah. Anybody else want to comment?
I don't know about defensive player of the year, but he could definitely be in a conversation for all NBA. And I think right now, if he keeps this play, he's going to make one of those all NBA defensive teams, first or second.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
They go by position, right, Geoff? That's something I don't like. Instead of just taking the 10 best defensive players, so that means it's just 2 defensive centers.
Well, I don't. Do they still go by centers or they go by front court? Because I did, you know, they
In the All-Star game, they do. I don't know about All NBA. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. I think the reason why I think it's going to be hard for Mitch is because the voters only look at stats.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're looking at pick and roll defense. I don't think they're going into advanced stats. I don't think they're looking at the construction of the roster. And, you know, I just don't, you know, maybe if we remain top 2-3 defense, that'll help him out, you know, because they'll see him as the anchor of a number 1, 2, or 3 defense. Maybe that'll help him. But if they see 9 points, 12, you know, like if they see 12 points, 12 rebounds, 3 blocks, 2 steals, or steal and a half, I can see them getting excited, you know, because they're just stat watchers, you know. But I think he should be. He definitely. It's early. But from what I've seen so far, yeah, he should be. All right, let's move on. Go ahead.
Before we move on, Alawise had a question. Let me. What do you think? That's a good question.
Yeah, he might be in the running for that too.
Because if he makes,
usually those are scoring. Like when they look at most improved, you know, I don't know if there's been a defensive player who's gotten.
I mean, that's a leap. You know, if he makes defensive player of the year, that's a huge step forward.
I don't know, that shooting guard from Brooklyn.
Cam Thomas.
Oh, Cam Thomas.
Cam Thomas is averaging like 27 points per game or something like that. He's probably going to be the one who gets most improved.
If he can keep it up. You don't think RJ's in that conversation?
Maybe.
No. I don't think it's just that much of a leap compared to Cam Thomas's leap. That's why. Not saying that RJ's not playing well.
Right.
Cam Thomas almost averaging 30 points a game. He didn't get no burn last year. So
right. You're right. And they're not going to be looking at, oh, well, he increased his free. Yeah. Maybe they'll look at the efficiency and that'll help him. Maybe.
It'll be a small part, but yeah.
But he was already looked at as a 20-point a game scorer even before this season. So I don't think the casual fan or the people who vote on this stuff are really going to see that much of even with an increased efficiency. You know, he may get the similar stats with better efficiency because he's not, taking as many shots or whatever. But, like I said, I don't know. Thomas may not keep it up either, but if Cam Thomas is going to be the leading scorer on the Nets, I mean, he's going to win that thing hands down.
He can score. He played a couple of games last year where he went off. Yeah. Last year, he got some burn last year. He went off on a couple of games, man. So that kid can score.
No doubt. We might not be able to get to Hart, but let's get to Quickley real quick. Do you think the Knicks are suppressing his value or his minutes? This is the conversation I had with Freezy. So I said, let me bring it to the panel. Do you think the Knicks are suppressing his value, suppressing his minutes so that he doesn't get a big offer in free agency, restricted free agency? Do you think there's politics going on, or do you think his 20, 21 points, somebody check how many minutes he's averaging, is based solely on his play?
He averaged 29 last year. This year, it is 24. So 5 less minutes.
And we kind of thought they would be around, right? The 25-minute range.
Mm-hmm. Because they brought another guard in, Dante. So for me, I'll go real quick. My answer is no. I don't think they're suppressing him at all.
Oh, that was real quick, Jerrell.
Yeah, because I don't see any type of. I don't see it. I don't see it at all. That's why it's so quick with it. Like just because he's getting 5 less minutes, like he's still taking like 12 shots a game. He's still averaging, a nice amount of points. I don't see them suppressing him at all. Yeah, and he don't play like they suppressing him either.
Yeah. And I agree with you, Jerrell. They're not suppressing. In fact, I think the coaching staff at Thibodeau's been doing a great job so far at managing everybody's minutes.
What? Wait a second. Wait a second. AJ, you said what? That's why he got to get off camera. You said what about him? You said what? Say it again, please. What'd you say?
Queen. We see.
I'm here for it.
Don't worry. We'll talk. We'll talk behind the scenes when the show's over.
It's getting clipped right here.
Right.
No, but no, I do think so. I think he's been doing a good job managing everybody's minutes. He's been, he keeps guys in there that are playing well, guys who are not producing. He put them on the bench. He's been doing that. Come on, Jerrell. You know we give credit where credit is due.
Okay, I got you.
But in terms of IQ managing minutes, listen, if they're doing that, that would be stupid. Guys, we talk about this all the time. I say this all the time. Scouts already know what Emmanuel Quickley can do. All right. If he plays 0 minutes for the rest of the season, they're still gonna make him the offer they would make him if he was playing 40 minutes. They know what he can do already. He's been in the league 4 or 5 years. They already know what he can do. Okay, that's why I didn't understand in the preseason showcasing Fournier so they could get a good deal. He's been in the league 10 years. He's been playing FIBA, and you playing him 15 minutes in preseason so they could see what he could do. So no, they already know what Emmanuel Quickley can do. So they're not suppressing him. It's just that's the new minute management that they're doing. Mm-hmm. I guess they're making an effort to manage the players well, and it's going well so far.
Yeah, DJ Shuttle with revisionist history. I told y'all 24 minutes before the season started. No, you didn't. You said 17, 18.
17.
You said 17, 18. Because we all agreed at least on this show, that all of the guards would get around 25 minutes a game. But I hear you with the revisionist history, though. I hear you. Anybody else? I don't think the Knicks are suppressing his value or his minutes as well either. I just think who's hot? Who got it going? Now, there was one game where he played well, and I know a lot of the fan base thought he should have closed that game. So that might be adding fuel to the political fire, why he didn't close. But I don't agree with that. Anybody else?
Just real quick, I was looking at the numbers real quick. Like he's playing 5 less minutes, right? But he's putting up the exact same amount of shots. So if they are trying to suppress him, they're doing a terrible job. IQ standing on business out there, man. He doing what he's doing. That's what he does. Like
he started quite a few games when Brunson was hurt last year, and in those starts, he played 30+ minutes in almost all of those starts. And so I think that skewed his minutes per game up in a way that it's not going to happen this year because DiVincenzo is here. So we have more depth at the guard position than we did last year. So I'm not really surprised at the minutes number just based on the way the roster is, but I don't think it's going to go below 24, 25. I don't think it's going to go down below 20. In fact, Grimes, I think, is the one who's going to suffer minutes wise. And I think you're saying that already. His number's down to 21, and I think he was at like 28 last year. So he's taking an even bigger hit, and he starts. So I think that kind of speaks volumes as to and Tibbs has versatility this year. He has, but one thing I know about Thibodeau, he's going to put the guys on the floor that he feels give him the best chance to win. Well, whether that's what we think gives us the best chance to win or not is a different story. But he's going to put the guys out there that he thinks gives him the best chance to win. And he's a Quickley guy. He loves Quickley, but he also loves Grimes. He also loves Hart. I think he also loves DiVincenzo. And we know he's high on Brunson and Barrett. So he's got a lot of guys that are his guys. And so he has a lot of freedom to experiment with lineups, to do different things. And I think that you're going to see that for about the first 20 games. And then I think he's going to be kind of settled into whatever he decides. I have no idea what that's going to be, but I think about game 20 and afterwards, barring injury, I think you're going to see a much more set rotation moving forward at that point. Maybe I'm wrong, though. Maybe he'll just continue to say whoever's the hot hand is going to be the guy that plays that night. And I have no problem with that if that's his decision. Either way, I think it's fine.
Okay. And anybody else?
I was just going to say with Geoff, that's a very good point when him starting. I forgot about that. He started 21 games last year. So that's why his numbers were inflated a little bit.
Mm. The minutes, you mean, right?
Yeah, the minutes. Yeah, he 21 games. That's a lot for a bench player. Like that was one of the reasons a lot of people didn't think he deserved sixth man of the year, because he started so many games last year. That was a knock on him for getting that award, I should say.
Right. All right. We have time for the last question.
Yeah, I'm good.
Did the Knicks make a mistake by extending Josh Hart?
I can go first. I'm real quick. No. Yeah, like, nah, I'm not overreacting over 8 games. I don't know. I think he'll play a little bit better as the season go along. Like we keep on talking about Brunson playing FIBA. Josh Hart played FIBA too. So, with all the energy that he has during the game, maybe a little tired, but I think he'll be fine. He is getting the most minutes out of all the bench players, though. Like I think he's getting like 27 minutes a game. So I think he'll be fine. So I don't think it was a mistake that they extended him.
Yeah, and I'm with Jerrell. I don't think it was a mistake either. That was the right move, extending him. Like he's here for a specific reason. He's got a job. He does his part. He hasn't panned out like as good as well as it did for us last year. But like you said, the season just started, man. Like let's not push the panic button already. It was not a mistake to extend Josh Hart. That was the right move.
Is it fair to say it looks like a mistake? It might prove not to be a mistake, but it might be looking like a mistake right there.
It might look like a mistake maybe because they did it before they extended IQ. I can say that maybe. Optics wise, you know what I'm saying? I think it probably would have been better if they would have extended IQ, if they wanted to extend IQ.
I think the mistake they made is not extended IQ. I mean, not to say that they won't, but that should have happened already.
No, I agree. They should have extended IQ, but I think the Knicks front office is using IQ as bait, for the offseason to make some moves. But I don't know. I feel like as far as Josh Hart, I need to see what he's going to do this season because he didn't play a full season with us last year. Mm-hmm. And I get people saying he's tired. I don't know. I'm kind of like Greg Popovich. It's like, who cares that you're tired? Like, you're in a professional league. You know, like, yeah, I know you had twins, you played FIBA, other guys play FIBA too. You know what I mean? So I just, for me, I'm just like, let me see what he's gonna do this season, and then I could get back to you and say, well, it was, and let you know if it was a waste or not. So I'm really watching him this season to see what does he do in his capacity of what he brings to the game, and if he's gonna bring that throughout the season. So I'm not panicking, but I'm watching to see what exactly he's gonna bring for us this season.
What would you say your expectation of Hart is? Like, what would you like to see from him?
Honestly, I thought he was gonna give us at least, and not every night, but I was expecting at least maybe 10, 12 points a game, along with, the steals that he do, or the rebounds that he can provide for us. But I see, some rebounds. I see, some of the defensive plays, or, I mean, last season he was diving, he was damn near sitting on Spike Lee's lap, diving for balls, loose balls to go and get them, or he was sliding across like a bowling ball across the floor, to get the ball. But I remember Sim brought this up last year in the playoffs, and he sort of brought it up this year. I think, and I noticed this with Josh Hart. He has a tendency when he drives, sometimes he's too fast for his own good.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, then he was looking at the ref like, "Yo, man," and he's like, "I wanted the foul," and I'm like, "But there really wasn't a foul there." And I'm on your side. I'm a Knicks fan. I'm like, "My man, there wasn't no foul there. So what are you talking about?" Or, it was just like sloppy, minor mistakes he was making, losing a ball, having a little, hands was too sweaty. So I'm looking at things like that for this season. Like, I truly would have liked to see him give us at least a solid 10 points with, 7 to 10 rebounds. And again, I know you're gonna have off nights, you're not gonna do but I just haven't really seen that. So I said, okay, that's why I said, like with Grimes, I'm like, okay, with Josh Hart, I guess he's just gonna give us what he give us, whether that's on the rebound end, or grabbing loose balls for us, getting, helping Mitch out with the boards, or with, getting us a couple of good steals, making nice passes. I mean, I know he could do those little things, but, and then to piggyback a little bit off of what Geoff was saying, I believe that Grimes minutes are going to go down with DiVincenzo on the team, because DiVincenzo's going to, his shot is there. Unlike with Grimes, his shot is not, it's not there yet. So, and I've been paying attention these past few games. I'm watching both of those two guys, their minutes, and they're playing about the same amount of minutes. But I think, I'm really curious to see how that's going to pan out come, All-Star midway through the season, to see exactly what's going to happen with that as far as the minutes go. But yeah, Josh Hart, I don't want to call it just yet and say it was a waste, but I'm like, well, let me see when we get to midway through the season, then I can be like, I don't know, and he may come through later on after that, but for right now, I'm still on the fence.
Yeah, this is an aside, just talking about Grimes and DiVincenzo. Grimes 7.5 points, DiVincenzo 7.3. Grimes 1.6 rebounds, DiVincenzo 3.4. Grimes 1.1 assists, DiVincenzo 1.6 assists. Grimes is shooting 41.5% from the field, which is not great. But DiVincenzo, do I have this right? Because I have 37% for both the field goals and the 3-point percentage for. That's correct? Okay. So he's shooting just 37% from the field, which is not great. He's shooting a little better than Grimes from the three, 37% versus 36.4. And Grimes 0% from the free throw line, but that could be because he hasn't gone. And DiVincenzo just 55 points. So they neck and neck. What I do like about DiVincenzo, he's a good on and off the ball defender. But we will see. As far as Hart, he's one of my favorite players on the team because he's a hustle. He's a hustle player. So he's averaging 6 points, 6.5 rebounds, 2.5 assists, shooting 35% from the field. Terrible. 27% from three, and 80% from the free throw line. I'm not sure. Maybe he can get to 10.
10 what? Rebounds or points? Like, what you mean?
Point. Maybe he could get to 10 points, but he might be like an 8 point, 8 rebound type of guy. Maybe he can get to 10.
Remember, he is playing out of position also.
Yeah.
He's third on the team in rebounding, so.
But he also overpasses the ball too. He's another one. He passes way too much. I'll see him be open for a shot, and I'm like, why? Why did you pass it? Sometimes he has the open shot and he will still make the pass, and I'm just like, I don't get it.
See, I think maybe because I'm not surprised by that because he's always been like that. It's different with Grimes because Grimes is, he's just been in the league a couple years. Mm-hmm. Well, at least I think, I don't think he's played 2 full seasons yet. Offensively, this is Josh Hart. Like, you're not going to get anything different than this, I don't think, unless he, I don't know, changes into like a completely different person than what he has been in the past few years. Like, he's been in the league like what, 7 years now?
Something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, he's never been a scorer, and he does pass. He's not aggressive at all, really.
But when he came to the Knicks last year, in the last 25 games, he shot like 50% from behind the arc. You're not on a huge volume, but he was on a tear.
He was after shooting like 30% from Portland or something like that.
Right. So we're getting more Josh Hart Portland right now. For better or for worse, I don't know, but so I don't think he's going to be as bad as he's shooting right now. I don't think he's going to be as good as he was last year. It's interesting that you asked that question about the overpay because, with the new CBA, it really feels like these Josh Hart size contracts are the ones that are going to be squeezed out of the market. You know what I mean? Because it feels like it's going to be much more in the future about having like 2 $60 million a year players and then a bunch of guys who are 5-10 more rookie scale kind of, squeezing of the middle class, if you will, for the NBA. And we have a lot of guys on middle class deals right now. I think in the long run, it could be that's a deal that doesn't look great just because of that fact. But the other part of that is you're going to have to be able to match contracts dollar for dollar if you want to make big trades in the new CBA. So being able to stack contracts like that in aggregate, I think, in other words, 3 $20 million players is equal to a $60 million player. So from that standpoint, it may not be terrible, but right now, again, small sample size. It's only been a few games, but it sure does look like a lot of money for a role player right now.
Yeah. We won't talk about Hartenstein, but I just want to put it, 7 points, 4.5 rebounds, shooting 60% from the field and 64% from the free throw line and Tom Thibodeau praised him a lot, said that if Mitchell Robinson wasn't playing the way he was playing, he would be getting more minutes. So yeah, that's all I got. Any last words or any last comments? Something you wanted to say early and didn't get a chance to say?
Make sure y'all check out Lady and the Chef's channel too. The 2 Knicks chicks. That's some pretty awesome stuff she's got going on there. So be sure and give her some love and check that out because those 2 ladies are doing doing the Lord's work over there. That's a pretty cool show if you haven't seen it. So
Appreciate that.
and I just appreciate the chat and the panel and another great show, guys. Thanks.
Yeah, so we got 132 people watching,
Get him at Jake. Get
and
him.
103 likes. So there's 29 people. 29 people holding back, man. Come on, yo. Let me see them likes go up, man. Hit the like button on the way out, man. You know, but no, yeah. I mean, Queen, you know, it's always a pleasure being here, and you know, talking Knicks with you guys in the chat. Of course, was on fire tonight.
No doubt.
They got the receipts going. They got the hate was flying all over the place. Hater, hate, you hating, hater, hate. You know, if you don't share their opinion and so on and so forth. But you know, we love it, man. That's what we do it. We have fun with it.
Yeah, definitely have fun with it. There was a last comment. Let me see if I could. Oh man, the chat is on fire. I just did it like a minute ago, and the comment. Oh, here,
scrolling. It's like,
oh no, I missed it. Maybe I didn't.
You talking about the last one you started, the D Coolers?
Yeah, you see it?
Yeah, I got it.
But listen, we talked about RJ the way we talked about RJ because that's the way RJ was playing. We're talking about RJ differently this season because RJ is playing differently. So if Grimes plays different next season, we're going to talk about him differently. I mean,
it's a very simple equation. It's a simple equation.
It's not hard. Stay in the moment. What's your take on the player right now? It's not hard.
Queen, it's like it's sunny today. I'm gonna say it's sunny today. It's cloudy tomorrow. I'm not gonna say it's cloudy.
Word.
It's sunny today because yesterday was sunny.
I
think say what it is.
Sometimes fans just be thinking players be doing stuff they ain't doing.
Yeah. No doubt. Listen, Jerrell, Ajay, Lady and the Chef, Geoff, I appreciate you guys. There's no channel without the panel. You know, and it's you guys coming in, you know, on a weekly basis and really being thoughtful, you know, about your takes, and just the diversity of opinions and just the respect factor amongst us really makes for a great show. And then of course the chat just being super, you know, super active. And even the replay gang who leave comments. I think I'm about 2, maybe 4 shows behind in reply. I know. In replying to the replay gang and their comments. But you guys make this fun. So I appreciate everybody. I'll be back. The Knicks don't play until Sunday. So we're kind of off.
Nice.
You know, at least I'm off until Monday, you know, Monday morning. I'm actually looking forward to it.
Get some sleep, Queen, because next week gonna be.
That's true.
Guys,
we play Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, and then I want to say Friday and Saturday again.
Yeah, 6 games in 8 days.
A couple of backs to back. So you know the chat is hot when there's a lot of all caps. You see a lot of all caps all over the place. People, they screaming.
That is funny.
Oh boy. But for those who don't believe Quickley plays elite defense, just go to NBA.com and look at the stats. You know, I think he might have fell off a bit this season when I was watching when I was looking at the on-off numbers. But you don't have to take our word for it. You know, go look at the stats. You know, there is a need. My eyes work. No, because what are you looking at? You know what I mean? You gotta see, because a lot of times we'll look and be like, you know, this guy's a terrible passer, Randle. And then you go look at the stats and like he's like top 5 for power forwards in passing percentage or something like that. So you got to take both of them together. Sometimes it does. Like the Joker's a better defensive player than, you know, I think it was Embiid last season. Like, all right, fine. So sometimes it can be skewed a little bit, but you take both of them, you know, in context. All right. Anyway, yeah, go ahead.
I'm just looking at what he said. He said I'm looking at a foul machine. Quickly averages 1 foul a game. 1.3. I'm looking at the stats right now. In 24 minutes. He averages 1.3 fouls a game. So
anyway, you know, this is the thing. Like we all have our favorites. And I do. I am Randle, Brunson, Hartenstein, Josh Hart, who's playing terrible. You know, and Brunson, we all have our favorites, but as much as possible, try to see, you know, the good and the bad in everybody as much as possible. It's not always easy.
Man, I'm looking at these. Hartenstein is a foul machine. Oh my God. I'm just looking. He averages 3 fouls, which is the highest on the team, in only 17 minutes.
Right. And he might be an assist machine too. Not assist, turnover machine. I know last season he was. I don't know if it was for the whole season, but there was a segment of the season where his turnover percentage was pretty high.
Yeah, he averages a turnover a game pretty much 0.9, but in only 17 minutes, that's not good.
Right.
Either.
Right.
Yeah. It's only been 8 games. You know what I'm saying? We'll see.
Anyway, fam, until next time.
You tune in, that means you're feeling the vibe. The bell rung, you already been subscribed. Right now, the queen, she on live. Right now, please pull over the whip, no phoning when you drive. Dope Soul Sporting with the talk. First lady from New York, Brooklyn. All my people, you rocking with the chat. Hit that. The like button would tell me where you at. You know, step from the MBK. Born and raised up MBK. Hey, real lady, where she holding it down. No matter way how you feel, she gon' greet you with a smile.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Oh, sister, it's time you
That's her.
shine. Dope Soul.
Where you at?
Dope Soul.